She moves her body like a cyclone, and she makes me wanna pop it all night long. Going hard when they turn the lights on. Alright, I'm just kidding, guys. Whenever someone calls Luigi Tornado or whatever the cyclone, I'm not saying that's wrong. I always think of that song from like middle school or whatever. Anyways, no, Bayonetta, get out of here. Whatever, go away. We're not going to be talking about that witch. We're going to be talking about this witch. And we're going to be talking about the tornado, which is the down B special. You know, just down and B. The quality is pretty bad for this part, but it's not too important. All that's important is kind of like to show you the basics of it. In this video, I'm going to cover how you mash, why you mash, the pros and cons of each way, how to learn, how to get better at it, how to stay consistent about it, some things to keep in mind. Mashing is not always just like a, go for it and do it kind of thing. You want to make sure that you are protecting your arm. You want to make sure that you are getting the consistency that you want, because it's definitely one of those things that Luigi has that you can practice and be good at. So yeah, we'll get right to that. Alright, so mashing in general, what is it? It's down B and you hit the B button really fast, and it's good because it makes Luigi better as a character. It's kind of hard to play him competitively without it, just because it offers a much needed defensive way to get back to the ledge. You don't need your double jump if you mash. So if you do it regularly, you need that. You have to waste your double jump. But if you fall down, oh, what the fuck? Right. If you fall down, sorry, but if you fall down, do the mash. You still have your double jump, and that's great because, all right, let's just get down here. If you do the mash, then use your double jump, Bayonetta or whatever gross character you're fighting can't drop down and back air you, or can't drop down and nair all the way down. You can still get gimped if you do the mash, but it's a lot better. So I just wanted to do that. I don't have the best mashing skills in the world. I definitely can do it, and I want to talk about kind of how to learn and how I learned it and how to get better at it. I'm trying to talk while doing it. I think that's the most important, and I'll get into that later. But I'll probably just be mashing throughout this video just to try and show you how fickle it can be. Sometimes you miss, sometimes you don't. Alright, let's get right into it. Okay, so from the start, my camera is going to be stupid, and it's going to flip everything around, so it's going to look a little backwards. My apologies. There are 3 types of mashing I'm going to go over. 2 of them are going to be more in-depth. One of them is just kind of like an alternative that I know exists, and I know that if you're struggling, you can always try it. I'm not saying one way is better than another. I'm simply just giving you the pros and cons. You experiment, be open-minded, do what works for you. So the one I do is I set my Y to special, and basically what you do is you hit B, A, Y, A, B, A, Y, A, B, A, Y, and basically what that does is you have 2 buttons inputting the special, so inputting the rise, and then you have to hit A in between each input, because otherwise you're gonna hit them at the same time. If you try and go too fast, you'll hit these 2 and it will basically just not count the inputs. Kind of the same thing with if you're trying to mash out with different buttons and you hit X and Y and they both have the same function. It's not going to do anything, like mashing out of a grab, for example. So what that looks like, it's a little hard because I don't have the posture I like to use when I do this, and I'll talk about posture in a second, how important it is. But it basically is it's a very clean sweep, and it just looks like, okay, so that probably wasn't helpful because I have fat thumbs. I'm going to try and do this the best I can. Pick the side of your thumb, right? This area, anywhere along here, that's how you're going to do this one. It's not about, don't go like this and scrub with your thumb. You're going to just, hurt you're gonna hurt the skin of your thumb first of all. And I mean, you could do it. It's just you don't want to go from having your hand like this to this. And I'm going to talk about how clenching certain muscles also can be negative, you know, on mashing in performance, and it can hurt your hand if you don't do it right. So really, what I do is I just go like this, and I try and get like this part of my thumb. It's the bigger part, and basically I have it so I'm not going like this, and my finger's not hitting all the buttons at once. But it could if I roll it. If I roll it, think about rolling it, think about rolling it, think about rolling it fast. That's how it works. And in practicing this one, it's kind of weird at first because you might try it and it might just absolutely not work. I would recommend don't do it off stage when you're trying it. Just do 2 jumps and wait till you're falling in midair, and then just give it a go. Just give it a go. In learning this one, you will get it for like 1 try, and then you'll be like, oh my god, I just did it. And then you're gonna mess it up a bunch and be like, shoot, how did I do that? How did I do that? How did I do that? There are gonna be a couple, you know, tries where you really get it and you don't really know what's different than the other times where you're not getting it. So this one, it really doesn't take that long to learn. It's not all about just hitting a button. It's more like getting comfortable. And what I like to do when I was learning is I would record my hands and I would watch a video and I would vocally say I got it or I didn't get it based on whether I got the mash or not. And then on the ones that I did get it, I would look to see if this part, see where this was, and I would try and compare it with the ones where I said I didn't get it. And that way you can kind of look and think, oh, okay, this is where it needs to be. I can't say it's this point of your thumb exactly on this part of the controller because everybody has different finger sizes, and like I honestly don't think that's important to get into, but what's more important is just you go like this, that. So what is not good about this? First of all, you see my hand go from here to here. So that's kind of, you know, it's obvious that you're doing it. It's not really reactively obvious if you don't. You're not going like this and then going. You're doing it fast. But what is difficult is if you run off to try and do a tornado gimp on somebody, and then you like run off, you go, you kind of have to claw it sometimes. If you mess up and you hit this guy here, you're not going to be happy. You'll down air, and by down airing, you will kind of like, you'll ruin it. You won't die. If you mess up, you can still do it, you know, and you can be fine. Just make sure you save that double jump. And those are the kind of the cons. But the pros are it's easy on your arm, and I'm going to talk about that in 1 second. Okay, so second way of mashing, I'm going to segue right into this because I was just talking about the arm, is you just hit down B, and you just hit B really, 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 really fast. Some people, they use your thumb. Some people, they go like the meme method, I call it, the on fleek, and what they'll do is they'll pinch, and then they'll just, some people go like this. Really, you can do any of them, whatever works for you. The only issue with this method is that it's hard to measure a consistent like feel, because when you're mashing, it's not about speed. In your mind, you don't want to think I have to go fast, because if you do, you'll put too much stress on your arm and you won't go fast. It's more about like, I don't want to say rhythm because it's not like you're thinking in your head like 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2, time to mash and 3 and 4. And no, it's not about blind speed. It's about like having a familiar thing that your finger does. That's why I like this one. So with this one, it's really easy to get the stall, but it's not that easy to get like the full rise. And this one though is in my opinion probably the best one, even though I don't use it. I think it's the best because it's the most accessible. Like, you know, your hand's right there already on the controller, so you can just go right into it. This one, it's like whatever works, but the important thing is your posture. So I was saying earlier, it's kind of hard to mash when I'm in this posture. At any event I go to, I will not, I will not sit in a chair that has arms. I'll pull up a different chair. Because you want to have consistency. Mashing is all about consistency and just doing the same thing. It's the muscle memory. It's not, I'm going to go try faster or too fast or any of that. It's all about, letting your body be in equilibrium, letting your brain be in equilibrium, not stressing too much about mashing. And I'm bringing this up now because this is the method where those things are the most dangerous. So if you're doing this, you're only doing one input, one button input, whereas the other one I just showed you using 2 buttons. So that one you cover it like the same time. It's just not one. This one you're putting all your effort onto this. So do this exercise actually, so you realize how hard this can be in your arm. If you mash this way, mash with Luigi, right? Go as if you're gonna mash, and then just keep doing it, and just keep doing it as long as you can. And then all of a sudden you realize, holy crap, my arm hurts really, really bad. Okay, I'm done. That's not good for your arm or your hand. So I talked about muscle memory. If you try a mash with the muscles in your hand or your wrist, you're gonna have like Mewtwo King 2015 hands, okay? Like, don't do that. It's not a huge deal, but if you start feeling pain from it, that's an issue and it hurts. And you don't want to learn that way because you don't want to learn in a harmful way. Your arm, all right, so what are the biggest muscles in your arm? Your biceps and your triceps, right? Triceps are here, biceps are here. If you've ever done a bicep curl, what they tell you is to keep your arm basically, stuck to your side so that when you go up and down and up and down, you're going to use your bicep. If you don't do that, you might use other muscles in your arm, in your wrist, anywhere that you don't want to be using because it's a bicep curl. You're working on your biceps. Same with mashing. You don't want to be using a different part of your arm every time you go to mash because you're going to mess up and then you're going to die and it's not going to be fun. No one likes to die to miss inputs. So I wanted to talk about that just because I want you to think about the next time you go to mash really fast, what part of my arm do I feel it in? Feel for the sensations, like look for them. Don't look at the screen, don't look at if you got the mash or not. It's just, when you do get it, think, did that feel okay? And when you don't get it, think, did I feel that somewhere else in my arm? Did I not? That's how I learned to do this one. And again, I don't prefer this one. I'm not as good at it as the other one. But for those that don't, you're not able to do it, it's not just going in and pressing it as fast as you can because you're going to tense up your arm. That's another thing I want to talk about with this method. Just because this is like the only con of this method and learning it is frustrating because you could practice for 5 minutes and be like, oh my god, my arm hurts so bad, like I can't do this anymore. It's not going to be hard in the future. It shouldn't be hard. It should not hurt any of your body or whatever. Maybe a little sore if you're doing it all day. What you want to think about, so I'm going to talk about breathing a little bit in addition to tension. So I'm a singer and I've been studying singing classically for 6 years now. Learning that has taught me a lot about this sort of thing. So when we do things that our body isn't used to and when we're learning things that we're not used to, we want it. I want to mash. I want that 16 times a second craziness. When I was singing, I want to hit this high note. I'm afraid, I might mess up. I'm not afraid I might mess up. Doesn't matter. Just because it's different, your body is going to try and make up for what you don't know on the fly. So when I sing, if I'm trying to sing like a high note and I've never done it before or I'm having a hard time, my body is just going to do anything it can to get it out. And that's when your voice cracks. That's when it sounds flat. That's when it sounds bad. That's when you don't even hit it. It's the same thing with your body. If you crunch up kind of like that when you go to mash, I know it looks like Elegant and Con do that. I don't know if they're tensing up to vibrate or, that might just be a byproduct. Just because you get all worked up doesn't mean you're mashing. It doesn't mean you're not hurting your arm. So, you can lock things You can lock it. You can do the con, whatever. He's great at it. He's great at mashing. It's just, don't think that's necessary. It's important to be in tune with what's going on and just look at it as, okay, I'm going in, I'm doing this quick thing, whatever happens, whatever, your body goes all over the place where you don't do anything, that's really, really important to keep in mind. All those things. I know I was kind of all over the place. Breathing is the same thing. If you take a breath when you're singing and you go like this, what just happened? My shoulders went up, my ribs were like, ugh. My neck went up. If I tried to sing a note like that, the way that your body works with your larynx, it would be awful. Like, it would not sound good. It would not feel good. It would hurt. It's the same with mashing and actually just playing in general. Breathing is like our source of equilibrium. We need oxygen. If you take a breath before you mash, you go, and you don't breathe while you do it, that's not good. That's just gonna, aid the tension that your body wants to create. So, what I propose is breathe. Breathe. You can take a breath in before you mash, and I think that you'll find if you do that, it will definitely feel different, first of all, and it might be easier on your body. So I was trying to talk to you guys while mashing. I just was talking to you guys, and I had a great one. I'm going to try it real quick and just tell you what happens if I tense up. Okay, no joke. I literally got no rise. I'm not just making this. You heard me trying to hit the buttons. Literally, my entire body closed up. You'd think that, tensing things to go fast or whatever is going to help. It's really not. Definitely when you go to mash, when you're practicing, take a deep breath if you want. It's so helpful. There you go. That was a good one. So I have that, and that was a lot to take in, but think about it. The last technique that I'm just going to go over real quick is something to try, is one that I know Rich Brown uses. JJ Rockets teamed with him at CEO Dreamland, and he told me that he played Luigi, and he did this method. So he's a keyboard player, so I used to play piano too, so it kind of made sense to me, and the way that he adapted it was to set his D-pad, and he would kind of like, have you ever seen a pianist play two notes back and forth at the same time? It's called a trill. So he would just rhythmically trill on this thing. And I don't know exactly what it looks like. I know you can do the D-pad though, because I've seen it happen and Rich Brown did it. So I wouldn't recommend that as your first, way to try things. It's also very it's very conspicuous. Like if you're going like this, you'd have to go like Probably not optimal for the movement of your hands or for speed's sake, but I just wanted to throw it out there that it is possible. I also want to say that it's important to warm up at a tournament, especially if you get to a tournament and it's early in the morning. You can do stretches beforehand. You can do these, and you can do these, and those are really good just in general for getting your hands. But definitely play some matches. You can button check. Remember, you can button check before every match if you want. You can take, don't take 3 minutes like every match. That's kind of annoying, but you can if you need to. Warming up is very, very important just because your body, needs to be ready. Your hands, your arm, all need to be ready, and you need to remember, you need to find that spot on your thumb, where our finger, need to find that spot and be like, okay, this is the spot, and then when you're in the match, you go and do it. So, in regards to mashing, there are 2 other things I want to talk about. Because it uses, if you're going to talk about your body, because it uses your body and your body is different day to day, there are a couple things that are going to affect mashing. So if you're at home, right, and you practice in, let's say you live in sunny California. It's warm. Your basement is nice and cool because it's really hot out in the summer. Or vice versa. Maybe it's really hot where you live, or maybe it's very cold. If you practice my basement is cold, so my hands are always cold when I'm down here playing, which isn't too often, but uh, if that's where you practice the most about, or if that's where you practice mashing the most, then you're going to be used to that. And so then when you get in tournament and you get nervous and your hands get sweaty, it's going to be like, shoot, where's my mash? Like, I did it. Like, I never mess up. What happened? Messing up is going to happen. Try and be patient with yourself. Try and be aware of that. You can recreate the situation at home, like get sweaty hands somehow. I have naturally sweaty hands, but sometimes they're cold and sometimes they're hot. So it's something to keep in mind. You don't know how hot or cold a venue is going to be. The other thing that's very important is your controller. I didn't think this was very important at first, but it's so important. So I learned mashing on a controller, not this one, not the one that I use now. And right as I learned how to mash, it was during Frostbite time. That's when I really started to get it. And I won a Frostbite controller from a raffle, the Chaos Controller one. So the problem was I went to go use that, and the buttons were so, they were so stiff. I would try and do it. I would mess it up. I was like, I can't do it anymore. What's wrong? And then I realized it was the controller. If you don't break in a new controller, you might not be able to mash. So make sure you are consistent with your controller, or, if you have different ones made differently or made with different, I don't know, whatever you call it, if they're loose, if they're tightened up, whatever. Make sure you're aware of that. That's something that can be frustrating if you're learning and you don't realize that at first. So that pretty much completes it. I know when I was talking about this method, I got a little bit rambly, I got a little bit meta about it, and I wasn't able to kind of complete my thoughts as organized as I wanted. But I just want you to just listen to it without, casting, a final decision on whether I'm right, whether I'm wrong, whether I'm not saying it right, whether it's not wrong. Like, Luigi is a character that we need to be open-minded about, because he's not the best character. So if we want to be the best with this character that we play, we have to be very open-minded, even if it's something that we're not used to hearing. So I look forward to any feedback. If you have any more specific questions, I could definitely, help you out with that. You can just slide in my DMs or whatever. I can always make a follow-up video. But I think I covered up the main things about learning to mash, how to be consistent about mashing, and things to keep in mind that are a part of mashing. It's not just about the button. Remember, it's not just about going fast. I know I said that doesn't matter earlier. I didn't mean to say like it doesn't matter at all. Obviously, you have to go fast. Obviously, everybody is going to mash different. Just because someone has tension in their body when they're mashing doesn't mean they're doing it wrong. If they don't feel pain, if you don't feel pain, usually that's good. And if you don't feel pain over a long period of time, like, you're probably golden. For me, I like to, when I do it, I like to, I'm not on a great level or just cushion, so I'm like kind of sliding into the couch, but I like to have my body like this. I like to have my arm on my leg, so that way I can just, everybody has their own. Some people go tight, some people, lock up other parts of their body, and it's okay. I'm not saying it's bad. Again, I don't want you to think I'm condemning that. You don't need to be graceful when you do it. You just need to do it, and I just want you to do it consistently and painlessly. So I hope this video helped at least a little bit. Just let me know. I am E2C Star Based Fruit, and it has been a pleasure, and I will talk to you guys later.